week one is the one that I look at, the first part of a schedule, outside of, who's on Thanksgiving and things of that nature. We already knew the first two games being Kansas City hosting the Ravens and then the Brazil game, the Packers and the Eagles. And then the rest of the schedule, we knew as well, Jets and Niners were going to be the first Monday nighter. We learned last night that the league decided to put the Rams right back in the spot where their season ended in Detroit. And that was a Sunday night wild card weekend game. That was the best wild card game. Best wild card game of last year. Hands down, Lions and the Rams, they went right down to it.
Yeah, it was a good one.
And the atmosphere was lit. It was totally nuts. And I think we'll see that again. And now Jared Goff has been pizzade. He spoke today. We'll get to that later on. And I think Stafford wants to have a little bit more, cronky dollars in his contract before that all works out. We already knew Cowboys were going to be at the Browns in a late window on Fox leading up until that game. Jaden Daniels' first career game will be at Tampa while we're watching the Browns host the Cowboys on Fox. Mm-hmm. And that is going to be interesting to see. Jaden Daniels take on Baker Mayfield, and the Buccaneers will be at home after they made the divisional playoff round. The first Jim Harbaugh game on CBS. It will be the Raiders in town. And I just think that is a dynamite first Jim Harbaugh game because Antonio Pierce has a very similar mentality to Jim Harbaugh's mentality, which is we are just going to win this line of scrimmage. We are going to dominate you. We are going to be physical. And also, it'll be a test to see how Harbaugh has grabbed the lapels of this town here, because since the Chargers moved up from San Diego, just telling no lies here, the Charger home games have been road games for a lot of teams.
Road home game.
For them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So the road teams have been the home team, and the home team's been the road team for a lot of games for the Chargers' new home in SoFi.
Factual.
And that has been the case for many times, but for no team more than the Raiders. And when, the Rams moved back here and the Chargers moved up here, the conversation for a lot of people in this town was, why not the Raiders over either of these two teams?
Yeah,
because the Rams moved to Anaheim before they moved to St. Louis, and the Chargers have never really had much of a presence up here. That's the conversation you hear from Raiders fans here in Los Angeles.
Facts.
And so, Harbaugh you see on billboards all over the place here. And the Chargers have a sense of, in this town, of being renewed and rebooted. Like if they had only come into town with this guy being their head coach right off the bat. And that's the conversation a lot of folks in this town have been saying, is that the Chargers should have done that right off the bat when they moved into Los Angeles.
Do you know if they reached out?
To Harbaugh?
Yeah.
I'm sure they did, but at the time when the Chargers moved up here, Jim had yet to go on the scorching run he went on over the last 3 years. So let's see how that affects who's in the stands and how many people are wearing silver and black. And I bet you Harbaugh is going to address those issues from the podium in the weeks leading up to that game. I think that is just a dynamite week one game that is, sneaky good. You take a look at the rest of that schedule, late window. It's the Don't Let the Door Hit You on the Way Out Rust Bowl with Denver at Seattle.
Right.
Then the early games. You got the Steelers and the Falcons. Now, Kirk Cousins' first game, we're assuming he'll be healthy enough to start week one. What a dynamite game that is. Russell Wilson will be in Atlanta for Pittsburgh, unless Justin Fields beats him out.
Either way, Russ will be there.
And that's Justin. Well, I mean, if Justin beats him out, then he'll be starting in his hometown. And that'll be just a fascinating week one matchup. with the Steelers feeling renewed coming off of a playoff season that few people will give them credit for. TJ Watt, we're assuming, will just be as dominant as ever. And why not? Love the matchup.
The addition of Patrick Queen there, too.
Exactly. Can't wait to see that. Good mention. You've got the two teams that supposedly knocked on the Patriots' door for Drake May facing one another. Sam Darnold versus Drew Lock. J.J. McCarthy versus a suddenly healthy Daniel Jones. What are we going to see in that Week 1 game? The Vikings and the Giants starting guys that are not named Drake May, who will probably be on the bench in Cincinnati watching the Patriots take on the Bengals in Week 1.
Looking forward to the debut of Maserati Marv there.
Maserati Marv in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Against a revamped secondary for the Buffalo Bills. So Kyler Murray, and hey, if you're Arizona playing in a dome in the NFC West, and you know you got to go to Buffalo, and you see it's the Sunday after Labor Day, you're like, sold.
Thank you.
Sold.
Glad it wasn't November.
Yeah, it wasn't November or December, right? You know what I mean? Love the matchup as well. Texans right back in Indianapolis where their season ended. That was the de facto playoff game of Week 18 last year. Winner in, loser goes home.
Hopefully Anthony Richardson will be healthy and we'll get that Stroud
That's
matchup with
right.
him.
That's right. Jaguars and Dolphins.
Jaguars. I don't know them.
That's right. From the Titans
Who are they?
video. Jaguars and Dolphins. Trevor Lawrence versus Tua in that one. And then the first game for Caleb Williams will be against Will Levis and the suddenly Derrick Henry-less Tennessee Titans. Brian Callahan, the new head coach, putting his new look Titans out there on the field in Chicago. And then Carolina will be in New Orleans. So Bryce Young, who I imagine has played in, did he play a national championship game in the Superdome? I imagine he must have, as Alabama, must have played in the Superdome before. Clearly he did last year as the quarterback of the Panthers. So an NFC South tilt for that one. And that's your Week 1 slate.
I'm looking forward to this Bears offense too, man. This is going to be fun.
And that's your Week 1 slate. Jacoby Brissett, no doubt, will start for the Pats. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.